Christmas in 1995, over 20 million Britons gathered to watch shows like Only Fools and Horses. Now whole scenes from those programmes are deleted, and entire episodes are erased. What could turn beloved television into forbidden history? The answer exposes not just scandal, but a rapid shift in culture, reputation, and the law. One so seismic that it is changing more than what we remember. Here is how the era everyone thought was harmless unravelled. For most of the 1990s, British television meant 4 channels: BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, and Channel 4. These networks shaped what the nation watched, when they watched it, and in many ways what was considered normal. The idea of everyone tuning in at the same time was not just a cliché, it was reality. On Christmas night in 1996, over 24 million people watched Only Fools and Horses. EastEnders regularly drew crowds of 20 million, with its 1986 Christmas episode peaking at nearly 30 million viewers. Coronation Street, Doctor Who, and even quiz shows like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire became shared rituals, discussed at work and school the next day. Strict schedules and limited choice meant that even controversial or boundary-pushing shows reached families in their living rooms. The watershed, set at 9 p.m, was the main dividing line. Before that, content was supposed to be family-friendly, but the rules were more suggestion than law. No on-screen warnings, no trigger advisories, and rarely any edits for smoking, language, or jokes that would be flagged today. The Broadcasting Standards Council, abbreviated BSC, and the Independent Television Commission handled complaints, but their approach was light touch. In 1997, the BSC logged just over 3,600 complaints for the entire year, a fraction of what Ofcom would see decades later. Cultural norms reflected in these broadcasts now seem distant. Smoking was common in soaps and dramas, casual prejudice often slipped into comedy, and child safety standards were minimal by modern measures. With so few channels, every programme had the potential to become a national event. This was the environment in which the shows now considered unthinkable were not just allowed, but celebrated. Jimmy Savile's name disappeared from British television almost overnight. For decades he had been a fixture on the BBC, hosting Jim'll Fix It from 1975 to 1994, and presenting Top of the Pops to millions of viewers. The truth came out in October 2012, when an ITV documentary revealed that Savile had abused at least 450 victims, many of them children, often inside BBC premises. The BBC's own internal review later confirmed dozens of assaults, including at least 8 rapes, some committed while filming. Savile died in 2011, never facing trial, but the fallout was immediate and total. Every episode of Jim'll Fix It vanished from schedules and archives. The BBC imposed a complete blackout. No reruns, no online availability, not even for research. Top of the Pops faced a similar purge. Episodes hosted by Savile, Gary Glitter, Jonathan King, and Rolf Harris, all later convicted or exposed as sexual offenders, were pulled from circulation. The BBC confirmed that no repeats featuring these hosts would ever air again. In total, hundreds of episodes are now locked away, removed from public view. This was not just about distancing from individual crimes, it was a direct response to legal and moral risk. Broadcasters feared that broadcasting these shows again could be seen as condoning or profiting from abuse. The decision set a precedent. Criminal acts by television personalities could erase entire chapters of TV history, regardless of how many millions once watched. The Savile scandal forced the industry to reckon with its past and transformed the rules for what could ever be shown again. Episodes vanished from streaming libraries almost overnight. In June 2020, Netflix and BBC iPlayer pulled Little Britain after renewed criticism of its use of blackface and ethnic caricatures. Matt Lucas and David Walliams, the show's creators, publicly admitted they would not make the same choices today. The Mighty Boosh suffered a similar fate that same month when Netflix removed episodes in which Noel Fielding portrayed a character in blackface. Lee Francis, creator of Bo Selector, issued an apology for his own use of racial impersonation, prompting Channel 4 to withdraw the show from its All 4 service. These were not isolated incidents. It Ain't Half Hot Mum, a BBC sitcom from the 1970s set in colonial India, had long been condemned for white actors performing in brownface and for its portrayal of Indian and queer characters. By 2020, UK TV Gold had quietly dropped it from rotation, and BBC iPlayer never made it available. Even physical DVD releases were marked with higher age ratings and warnings. ITV's Love Thy Neighbour had been repeated into the mid-1990s, despite its relentless use of racial slurs and stereotypes. But by 1996, mounting complaints led ITV to end all repeats. The show now exists only in private collections and specialist archives, considered too toxic for mainstream broadcast. Creators of several of these shows have since acknowledged the harm caused by their work. Public statements from Lucas, Williams, and Francis reflect a broader reckoning, one that recognises the difference between satire and mockery, and the lasting impact of televised stereotypes. The removal of these programmes was not just about avoiding legal risk. It was a response to a changing understanding of what harm looks like on screen. Regulation of British television changed dramatically after the turn of the millennium. In December 2003, Ofcom took over from the Broadcasting Standards Commission and the Independent Television Commission, bringing together all regulatory powers under a single, much stricter authority. The new broadcasting code set clear rules. Content must not incite hatred or encourage prejudice, and broadcasters were now expected to act before complaints even arrived. In 1997, the Broadcasting Standards Commission recorded just over 3,600 viewer complaints. By 2022, Ofcom was fielding more than 38,000 a year, a nearly tenfold increase. Social media made it easier to complain, and public expectations shifted. What once passed as edgy or satirical was now scrutinised through a different lens. Legal changes followed. The Equality Act 2010 made it illegal for broadcasters to discriminate or appear to promote prejudice based on race, sex, disability, or other protected characteristics. This law did not just apply to new shows. Reruns and archived programmes came under review too. A single complaint about a repeat could spark a compliance investigation. Even jokes or language once considered acceptable could now expose broadcasters to legal risk. The threat of lawsuits and public backlash made self-censorship the new norm. Streaming services were brought into the fold by the Digital Economy Act 2017. For the first time, Netflix, Amazon, and other on-demand platforms face the same content rules as traditional broadcasters. If a show contained racist language, outdated stereotypes, or scenes of casual smoking, it had to be edited, removed, or accompanied by a warning. Ofcom's reach now extended to anything available on a UK screen, whether broadcast live or streamed on demand. Cultural movements added more pressure. The hashtag #MeToo wave in 2017 forced a reckoning with sexual harassment in entertainment, while the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020 pushed networks to re-examine archives for racist tropes. Content that once escaped notice now faced public campaigns and regulatory review. These formal mechanisms, written into law and enforced by institutions, made it clear that British television would never return to the standards or the blind spots of the 1990s. Arguments over banned television split sharply. Some insist that removing shows with racist or abusive content is the only ethical choice. They say repeating those programmes turns past harm into present endorsement. Others argue that warnings and context are enough. When UK TV temporarily pulled the Germans' episode of Fawlty Towers in 2020 because of racial slurs, critics called it censorship. The episode returned with a disclaimer, and that sparked fresh debate. Surveys show most viewers prefer content warnings, but a vocal minority call outright bans a rewrite of history. At stake is whether erasing or preserving these shows best serves the public good. By 2030, artificial intelligence will scan uploads for banned scenes and language, blocking entire episodes before they appear online. Official platforms will offer only edited versions, stripped of anything deemed risky. Meanwhile, underground archives and private collectors will keep uncut recordings alive, trading them on encrypted sites and on hard drives. Generational memory will split. Younger viewers may never know these shows existed, while older fans hold on to bootleg copies as proof of a vanished era. Culture edits itself faster than memory keeps up. What streams today may vanish tomorrow. sometimes for justice, sometimes for comfort. The archive shrinks as standards shift. In a world where one complaint can erase decades, the question is not what we watch, but what we are allowed to remember. Share your thoughts below.